Hello everyone. So this video is about money making combinations in your chart. All right, also known as Dhan Yogas, and we will see what is the impact of Rahu in these planetary combinations that you have in your chart. Okay, so we will do quite a few analysis. I'm planning to show you all charts of two celebrities. One is Elon Musk, and the second one is Virat Kohli, one of my most favorite sports people. So stay tuned. Before there are going to be timestamps in this video, so before you directly jump to their chart analysis, I would like you to spend some time in the beginning of the video so that you are able to understand the logic what we will follow to see the impact of Rahu, because it's a bit tricky how Rahu is seen to amplify the money, because a lot of questions I have got lately is about money and wealth and whether I'll be a millionaire or a billionaire, problems with money, and people are going through Rahu Dasha. I have made quite a few videos on Rahu and career, so I'm going to add the career guidance videos here, and I'm also going to add the Rahu videos. So you also need to understand how to read Rahu. I have said that in a couple of videos, so pay attention to these videos. I'm going to add this in the time card here so that you're able to read Rahu and which houses Rahu is strong in and which signs Rahu is strong in, because if we are looking at money through Rahu, Rahu is capable of giving lots of money, because Rahu is endless desires. So people who have combinations with their money making planets and Rahu, they are capable of making lots and lots of money through Rahu during the time periods, and as long as they're going the same way. So people ask me that some people ask me, even my friends that get their charts read from me, they ask me, I have Rahu and I have these Dhan Yogas, but why am I not making so much money? The answer is very simple. You need to go in that direction, right? If your Dhan Yogas and Rahu is forming, let's take an example, in the ninth house, okay, and you don't like travel and you don't like learning new things and higher education, and you're not a person of principles, right? So you may not get the results of the Dhan Yoga if the ninth house is the one causing this particular yoga. Okay, if you don't like your gurus and you have conflict with gurus and you're not wanting to gain and acquire a lot knowledge, and let's consider even Jupiter is involved, so the Dhan Yoga will not be a powerful one because you have not gone into that direction. Okay, so in the later part of the video, like I said, we will look at Elon Musk's chart and Virat Kohli's chart. So let's consider if Elon Musk, with all his money combinations and Dhan Yogas, wanted to play cricket and become a cricketer, he may not have been such a successful and a rich person if he had made a different choice in the career. So which is why choosing the right career is also very important. So if you are on crossroads on what career to choose, should you become a sports person, or should you become a lawyer, or should you become a doctor, or you go to IT, or you start your own business, a hotel or a restaurant. Look at my 9 videos on career guidance. I have tried to give you as much information on based on your planetary placements on which career will suit you. Okay, so please mention your comments. I'm very interactive, as most of my viewers know. I like to answer most of my questions, but make sure you give me some details, and don't just say, okay, I have this and this conjunction in this house. How will I know which sign it is in and where is the dispositor? I need to know some more information to at least give you a vague reply, right? If not an in-depth reply, I would like to give you a vague reply so that you can get some answer. Okay, the intention is to give you all some interest in learning astrology, because it's a step-by-step process and it's an ocean. No one is a master or expert in astrology. We are all students. There's lots more to learn all the time. Okay, so now let's quickly get to the planetary combinations in anyone's charts, okay, which are responsible for giving you money, and then we will add Rahu to it and see how Rahu can amplify the Dhan Yoga or the money-making combinations in your chart. Okay, so we will first let's open up an Aries ascendant just to get the basics, and then we will look at different ascendants so that people don't get confused. Okay, so we will look at the major two houses. The major two houses that cause most of the powerful Dhan Yogas are the second house and the 11th house. Second house is mostly could be seen from your family wealth or the money that you have been saving, pretty much assets that you have. Your fixed deposits are pretty much seen from there. Savings can be seen from there. Money that you use to invest in your business, because to start a business you need investment, and usually comes from the second house, right? This is all seen from there. And then we will look at the 11th house. Okay, so any combination or exchange between these two houses form a very powerful Dhan Yoga. Okay, which means Parivartan, the second lord is sitting in the 11th house lord in the second house, or they are conjunct somewhere. Okay, anywhere. If they're conjunct anywhere, the strength will be on the sign and the house. So just because some astrologers think that the strength is more in the Kendra and Trikon houses, it may not be true. Okay, depends on totally if the conjunction is happening in the 6th house. Let's consider your second and second lord and your 11th lord is conjunct in the 6th house, and it is getting some good aspects, and even the Lagna lord and the 10th lord is favoring. Maybe Rahu and Jupiter is also favoring and giving an aspect. And this person has gone into a 6th house related industry, for example, sports or law. Okay, they can become millionaires even if it's happening in the 6th house or the 8th house or the 12th house also. Okay, so don't think that, oh, it's just because my Dhan Yoga is forming or I don't have a Dhan Yoga. We will when we are analyzing charts, we will look at different kinds of Dhan Yoga. Sometimes people have Dhan Yogas and they don't realize that it's a Dhan Yoga. Okay, so a person's chart could have multiple Dhan Yogas. We will look at it from the ascendant. We can look at it from the moon. You can also look at Dhan Yogas from your Dasha Kundali. What is your Dasha Kundali? For example, let's look at a Leo ascendant. Okay, we will keep the Leo ascendant here because the Dhan Yogas could be very tricky. I'm sure the Aquarius and Leo ascendants are saying, oh, my second house lord and the 11th lord houses are the same. Okay, so it's very easy to find out Dhan Yogas for Leo ascendant. Okay, why? Because Mercury is the planet which has the second house lord and the 11th house lord, right? So which is why Mercury is the Karaka of money for Leo ascendant. So if you're a Leo ascendant, please pay attention. Same applies for Aquarius ascendant, because for Aquarius ascendant is Jupiter. Okay, so Mercury is the significator of brains and communication. So for a Leo ascendant, communication is mostly the key to their success. If you're a Leo ascendant, work on your communication and do things which are good for your brain activity. Anything that enables memory, brain is all going to give you your results of your 11th house of incoming gains. Your net from your friend circle, network circle, any business that you do, and your savings, both of that. Okay, so for a Leo ascendant, if Mercury is well placed, for example, for a Leo ascendant, Mercury goes to Leo in the 1st house. So you can say that, yeah, this person is going to do something on his own and make money. And we will also look at the position of Sun. If Sun is giving strength, if Sun is also sitting there, if Sun and Mercury are conjunct in the 1st house for Leo ascendant, it's forming not only a Dhan Yoga, but also very strong yoga for business as well. Okay, the 11th and the 2nd lord conjunct in the 1st house. Okay, similarly, do the same thing for Aquarius ascendant. We'll just move this around. That's your Aquarius ascendant. So what is the most important planet for Aquarius ascendants to make money? It is Jupiter, right? For other ascendants, it'll be different. Like we saw the Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, it's Saturn and Venus, right? So Saturn and Venus combinations, two different planets. So don't get confused. Try to use logic and get the Dhan Yogas. So Jupiter, higher knowledge, education, respect for gurus, learning, constant learning for Aquarius Ascendant, because Jupiter is the Karak of that, is the significator of. So if Aquarius Ascendants are in tuning with Jupiter's energy, they will never have to worry about money. Okay? Especially if Jupiter is well placed. If Jupiter is exalted, it'll come from there, whichever house is it. If it's exalted even in a not so good house like 6th, 8th, and 12th, if people go in that direction, they will get success. Okay? So I hope we all understood the most powerful Dhan Yogas. It's caused by 2nd and the 11th Lord. The 10th house is also very important, because 10th house is the house of your karma and your career. So if the conjunction happens in the 10th house, which means it's a very strong conjunction. All the Kendra and Trikon houses are always looked at a good conjunction. Okay. Whichever house gets into the picture, we have to look what sign it is, which house is it in, and the results will come through that particular house and that particular sign. Which means if your Dhan Yoga is formed in Leo, it might come through admin work, creative work, or your own self, or could be something to do with children. Whatever Leo is the significator of. Could be through the government. You could work for the government and be very, very famous. Alright. So we have to look at the sign. We have to look at the house where it's happening and make sense out of the Dhan Yogas. Okay. So the same concept applies for the 5th house and the 9th house. Why? Because 5th house is pretty much, I get a lot of questions about what is my past life karma. Look, your 5th house is the past life karma, by the way. Okay. And your 9th house, your luck is also seen from the 9th house. Bhagya's house. Okay. Your past life's good deed. I have made a video on karma, Sanchita karma. Look up what is Sanchita karma. I'm going to add the time card here. Okay. So your past life's accumulation, good karma accumulations is all seen from the 5th house. So if you have a very good, strong 5th house, if your 5th house Lord is, if your 5th house is exalted, that means you've done some good karma in your, because why are some people born rich and some people born poor? Someone is getting born in a billionaire's house, is born rich, doesn't have to worry about, yeah, good karma, most probably, yeah. So we have to look at the 5th house and the 9th house. The same logic applies for the 5th, 9th, 2nd and 11th. Now do your math. I've given you 4 houses. Obviously the Lagna Lord is very important. We all know this basic astrology. And the 10th house, your karma. You can't be sitting at home and someone will come to your doorstep and throw you 5 bags which has millions and millions of dollars or rupees, whatever. Okay. So we have to do some karma. So 10th house is important. You have to pursue career, because if you don't activate your charts, nothing is going to work out. You're not going to sit at home and money is going to fall. Okay. But there are people who are born in a rich family and they have all the money, but they may not have peace of mind, because money is not a milestone to hit. They might have different milestones to hit. So money doesn't become a milestone for them, right? So it's very different for people who are born with a silver spoon and they don't have to worry about money. If you're watching this video, maybe you are trying to get to this next level of career. Okay, when will I make that big money, or will I become a millionaire? That's why probably you're watching this video. Okay. So we will look at these yogas in your chart, and now we will add Rahu into it. So we have these 4 different houses. 2nd house, I repeat, 5th house, 9th house, 11th house, and we have to look at the 10th house and the 1st house. Some kind of combination also forms a Raj Yoga. Don't get confused. Raj Yogas and Dhan Yogas are in the same subset. It can be interlinked. So a Raj Yoga can be Dhan Yoga can also be a Raj Yoga. Okay. It'll get too many yogas. There are thousands of yogas in astrology. So we will look at this particular one so that you all don't get confused. Any exchange, any conjunction, any mutual aspect. We have to look at aspect. Some people completely overlook aspect. Okay? Which means if your fifth lord is aspecting the 11th lord, that is also a Dhan Yoga. Okay? For example, let's look at, let's continue with the Leo Ascendant. Okay? So for the Leo Ascendant, the fifth lord is Jupiter, right? So if Jupiter is aspecting the second lord, which is Mercury, right? That is also a Dhan Yoga. So we have to look up for these yogas in your chart. So when we are doing the chart analysis, we will look at aspects and the combination. So we all know the planets behind Earth have aspects. Jupiter has the 5th and 9th aspect. I'm not mentioning the obvious 7th aspect. Every planet has the 7th aspect. But Jupiter has the 5th and 9th aspect. Saturn has the 3rd and 10th aspect. Mars has the 4th and 8th aspect. Rahu wants to be like Jupiter, so Rahu has the 5th and 9th aspect. So we will talk about Rahu's aspects. Okay, very, very important. So I have mentioned in my earlier videos, and I'm sure you're aware, why we are saying, now people say, why is Rahu? So we know Rahu is strong in the 2nd house, 3rd house, 6th house, 10th house, and the 11th house, right? The question is why. It's very understandable why Rahu is strong in the 2nd house and 11th house, because it expands wealth, right? And people need money in today's world. You know, the idealistic way of living life that no, I don't need money, I just need knowledge and love, doesn't work out in Kali Yuga, right? If you're not well, you need to pay your hospital bills, you need to be insured, you need money to feed your children or for education, you need money for everything. So in this practical world of Rahu and Kali Yuga, we have to make sure that we have money to support ourselves and our families. So Rahu is very obvious why 2nd house and 11th house Rahu is, because Rahu is the karak of expansion. It is supposed to expand the 2nd house and the 7th house. But why is Rahu, let's understand the logic. Why is Rahu considered good in the 3rd house? 3rd house is not a very good house for money, right? 3rd house is the house of your courage and hard work. It is because from there, Rahu has the aspect. Rahu is aspecting the 5th aspect, is looking at your 7th house, which is the main house for your business and your partnerships. Most businesses have partnerships. So Rahu is giving an aspect there. And then Rahu is also aspecting your 11th house of incoming gains and wealth from the 3rd house, which is more than the 9th aspect. Because remember, Rahu has aspects exactly like Jupiter. It looks at the 5th, 7th and 9th. So we look at the 5th and 9th aspect because 7th obviously Ketu is there, which is the opposite of Rahu. Okay. Similarly, Rahu is good in the 6th house. Why? Because Rahu's 9th aspect is your savings. So people with Rahu in the 6th house, they are defeating their enemies. They will do well against enemies and diseases. Rahu will make you win. But Rahu's 9th aspect is also expanding your wealth house. So which is why Rahu is considered very good in the 6th house. Okay. Similarly, Rahu's 5th aspect is giving multiple careers in technology and business. It is aspecting your 10th house. Your 10th house has to be good. You have to do something. Your career, you need to do something in your career and then be successful and then you make money, which is why the incoming gains house of 11th is the next house from the 10th. And it's also the 2nd from the 10th. You see, both the money, 2nd and 11, both are making sense from the career house, 10th house. Okay. So Rahu is not only from the 6th house giving you a good career, an expansion of career, and also expansion of wealth with the 9th aspect. The same logic applies from Rahu in the 10th and Rahu in the 11th. Okay. So I wanted to explain why Rahu is the wealth multiplier and why is Rahu good in these houses. We all know that I have said it a few times. Why is Rahu good? This is why Rahu is good. And we also know Rahu starts acting like, pretends to be the lord of that house, which means if Rahu is in Taurus, Rahu will start behaving like Venus. If Rahu is in Gemini, it'll start behaving like Mercury. Rahu has no identity of its own. It will take on or assume the role, self-appointed lord of that, whichever sign it is in. Okay? Whichever sign Rahu sits in, it will behave like that. Rahu is also considered as the lord of Aquarius. So you will see some of the major Dhan Yogas, Aquarius is involved in some way or the other. So if you pull up, do a case study. If you have interest in astrology, mention in the comments. I would love to hear your comments and case studies. I love interacting with all of you. Where Aquarius sits in 2nd, 5th, 9th, and obviously for the Aries Ascendant, Aquarius sits in the 11th house itself. Because Rahu is the lord of, considers the lord of Aquarius. Okay, so we'll try to analyze some charts of very successful people who have made a lot of money with their knowledge and their hard work. Okay, so we have covered planets causing Dhan Yoga. Okay, I have to mention about the other planets as well, which cause Dhan Yoga. So if Venus is the main planet causing the Dhan Yoga, your Dhan Yoga needs to have Venus traits. You need to do things aligned to Venus. If Saturn is the main karaka of your Dhan Yoga, you have to be aligned with Saturn's energy. If Jupiter is causing your Dhan Yoga, you have to be aligned with Jupiter. Okay? Mars, you have to align with Mars's energy. Alright? Now let's look at Elon Musk's chart and let's analyze that. So I have pulled up Elon Musk's charts. I would love to hear from the viewers as well as we analyze Elon Musk's chart. And if you have similar combinations, please drop a note in the comments. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer you. Okay. So as we can see, he is a Gemini ascendant. Okay, with Sun and Mercury in the 1st house. Mercury is his Lagna lord. We are going to do a very basic analysis here. We are not going to go into nakshatras and the nakshatras lords, but they play a major role in analyzing the strength of a Dhan Yoga and the role of Rahu. So I have picked Elon Musk because I believe the Rahu Mahadasha was a game changer for not just him, but many things that he did in his life. All right. So we'll follow the same logic that I explained in the first part of the video. We will look at 2nd house, 5th house, 9th house, and the 11th house. Okay. So you can pause the video. You will see I've told the major Dhan Yogas are formed with the combination of the 2nd house and the 11th house, right? So you can pause the video and try to figure out if the 2nd lord, and you know with a look of it, you will say, oh, 2nd lord and 1st lord, there is no connection between the two of them. How is he got a powerful Dhan Yoga? So you can pause the video here and try to figure it out. Okay, so we can see his 2nd lord is Moon, and Moon is going to Leo here in the 3rd house. How is that a Dhan Yoga? All right, and we can also see his 11th lord. 11th lord is Mars. It's going to the 8th house with Rahu, causing an Angarak Yoga, Rahu and Mars combination, right? But we have to look at aspects. Now we also see that Mars is exalted there. Mars exalts in Capricorn and it's happening in the 8th house. Okay, Rahu is also there. And Mars's 8th aspect is going on Moon. So the 11th lord is aspecting the 2nd lord in the 3rd house, because Mars's aspects are 4 and 8. Okay, so from that position, if you count 4 from Mars from the 8th house, you will see Mars is also exalted. Mars with Rahu is also aspecting its own house, which is 11th house. It's aspecting the 11th house of Aries. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So both the aspects of Mars are beneficial and expanding his incoming gains. Okay? And how is Rahu involved? Rahu is involved with technology and Mars. We all know Mars, Elon Musk wanted to go to the Mars. I don't know what happened. So I am adding on the side here his planetary dashas. So this is a bit of an analysis for the audience. Go through his Antardashas and go through his Paryantardashas. I'm also giving you on the side here major life events of Mr. Musk so that you can match the timing of the events. Because the question people have is, when will I have these? When will I have the Dhan Yoga? When will I get the money? When will I'm doing good, I'm working hard, I'm running my business. When will my business get that multi-million-dollar order? So it happens during the Dasha period and also the transits. We have to look at the transits. Very, very important. Okay. Now let's look at other things. When we are analyzing the charts, let's do a slightly more in-depth analysis. Okay. We are still not going into nakshatras and into the Navamsha analysis, because we have to check all this from the Navamsha. We'll check all this from the moon. We'll also look at D10. Okay. We will only stick to D1 here, because otherwise the video will be 4 or 5 hours. Okay. He also became famous. So you see Sun and Mercury combination. Lagna Lord sitting in Lagna. And Sun and Mercury are friends. We know that. So Sun is shining on the first house. We know Sun is very powerful in the first house. Mercury is very, very powerful in the first house. Mercury is also called Buddh. Buddh means Buddhi. Buddhi is brains, nothing but brains, communication. Gemini, the sign of communication. Mercury in its own sign with the friend Sun. Sun in 13 degrees, in 13 or in very close middle, right? Very powerful Sun. Mercury also very powerful. Okay? If you see the nakshatras will also add up to what I'm saying. Okay? So post in the comments nakshatras and we'll see how the nakshatras are playing. All right. Now we will look at his fifth house. I said fifth house and ninth house. His fifth house and ninth house Lord. Fifth house Lord Venus, ninth house Lord Saturn, again conjunct in the 12th house. Another very powerful Dhan Yoga. We see how many Dhan Yogas it's forming. Okay. Rahu with Mars there, Rahu's fifth aspect. Remember I told you about Rahu's drishtis. Rahu's fifth aspect is falling on this conjunction. Okay. And where is this happening? 12th house, the other realm, space, innovation. Rahu and Mars conjunction, 8th house of transformation, research, technology, Rahu's technology. Taking flying rockets to the space. 12th house, the other realm. And this conjunction is very strong. Why? Saturn and Venus are known to be good friends. Taurus is the sign of Venus, so happening in its own house. So Venus is very powerful in the 12th house. Venus exalts in Pisces. So 12th house Venus is considered very powerful. Okay. Now we will look at something else that you might be interested in. I'm sure other astrologers or people who study astrology know about it. This is also called Viparit Raj Yoga, which means Viparit Raj Yoga forms from 6th, 8th and 12th house. These are houses people don't like in astrology. They can cause a lot of problem. Transformation, debts, court cases, losses of money, loss of emotions, loss of marriage. So these are houses where we see all the miseries in one's charts. But what happens in Viparit Raj Yoga is the logic is again very simple as the Raj Yogas and the Dhan Yogas. Is if there is an exchange of lord, or if the lords of the 12th, 12th, 8th and the 6th houses sit in their own houses, it is considered good, which means two bads making good. Yeah, but Viparit Raj Yoga usually takes something from you before giving you. Okay, which means you might get money from inheritance, but inheritance, how do you get inheritance? Because of a death of a family member. So it usually causes Viparit, means unforeseen events which are not good. Okay, but it's also called Viparit Raj Yoga, means it gives you something good. So he also has Viparit Raj Yogas. Let's look at his 6th house lord. His 6th house lord, which is Scorpio's lord, Mars, is sitting in the 8th house and it's exalted, right? So that is one Viparit Raj Yoga. Well, let's look at the second one. His 8th house lord, which is Saturn, which is also his 9th house lord, is sitting in the 12th house. Second Viparit Raj Yoga. From there, Saturn is looking 7th aspect. From the 12th house is looking at the 6th house. So his chart has multiple Dhan Yogas, Raj Yogas and Viparit Raj Yogas, which we have to check. Okay. So this is a very basic analysis, and I hope you understand how Rahu has amplified the Raj Yoga. Because the main Raj Yoga forming planet Mars is exalted and it is conjunct with Rahu. Okay. Now, you know, Rahu and Mars, a lot of people have come to me on comments and even for consultation that I have the Rahu and Mars conjunction. Rahu and Mars conjunction can give negative results as long as we are not going. Our karma is in our hands. So Rahu and Mars forms the Angarak Yoga. But Mr. Musk has channelized the Rahu and Mars combination in positives. Right? Mars is the warrior. Mars is could be missiles, could be anything to do with defense, fitness. And Rahu is technology. He has combined that and made a great career and lots of money and success. Okay? So just because people say Rahu and Mars combination in the 8th house, oh my God, you're doomed. You're not doomed as long as you're doing the right things and you're channelizing it in the right direction. Like I said, if Elon Musk became a cricketer or a basketball player, he may not have been famous. He might have had a 9 to 6 job, or, he would have done something else. Maybe if Elon Musk was selling groceries somewhere, he was working somewhere, he would have had a 9 to 6 job and gone back home. The Dhan Yogas would have still been active, but wouldn't have been so powerful. Since he has gone in the direction of Mars, like he's literally gone to Mars, right? Which is why it is powerful. So if you have any questions, or if you've identified more yogas, if you have questions about nakshatras, we have to check these yogas in Navamsha and from the moon and the Dasha Kundali as well. So let me know what you understand, and if you have any comments, I'm happy to discuss a chart analysis. I absolutely love it. So now let's look at Virat Kohli's charts and analyze what happened with him. And as you all can see, that he is a Sagittarius Ascendant. So if you're a Sagittarius Ascendant, you can check your Dhan Yogas, and I hope you have lots and lots of Dhan Yogas so that you are making a lot of money. Okay. So the first thing what we will look at is the placement of his 2nd house lord and his 11th house lord. The main two money related houses. Money. Yeah. And see where they are placed. Okay. So as you can see, his 2nd house lord Saturn is coming to his 1st house. Saturn in Sagittarius. Okay. And his 11th house lord Venus is placed in 10th house, debilitated, right? Now, I have taken this chart intentionally so that people who have lots of sorrows about planets that are debilitated in our charts, in their charts, so that they can understand that debilitation is not always bad. We have to see and analyze the debilitation, all right? I sometimes get comments from people, oh, my Jupiter is debilitated. How am I I'm going to the Jupiter Mahadasha. Okay? So we have to look at a lot of things. We can see Venus is debilitated here. But where is the Lord of Virgo, right? It is sitting in Libra in the 11th house. Which means this is called a Parivartan Yoga, exchange. Venus and Mercury are friends. So Mercury is sitting in Venus's house and Venus is sitting in Mercury's house. Okay? Which is also called an exchange yoga or a Parivartan yoga. It is a very powerful yoga, especially happening between the 10th house and the 11th house. What does it mean? 10th house of karma and career, what he does will give him money from the 11th house. Yeah? Fantastic, isn't it? So if you have this kind of exchange, it's very good. No matter what your ascendant is, any kind of Parivartan yogas are mostly very good, beneficial yogas. Okay? Don't just look at the debilitation and feel sad about your Vedic charts. Okay? But the question again arises, how is the second lord and the 11th? Remember I said second and the 11th house needs to be conjunct somewhere or exchange, or the lord should be looking at each other. So I'm going to pause. You can pause the video here and try to figure it out. Okay, so if you figured it out, congratulations, very good. So Saturn's, what are Saturn's aspects? Saturn's aspects are, from wherever Saturn sits, it looks at the 3rd house and the 10th house. So we can see Saturn from the 1st house is looking at the 10th house where Venus is sitting. So the second lord is aspecting the 11th lord. Okay? And making a very powerful Dhan Yoga. Alright, his moon is in very low degrees. Moon is also sitting with Venus. Venus and moon get along really well. Okay. Now let's look at some other yogas. Okay, we have to check it from the other Dhan Yoga and Money Yoga, and we also have to see Rahu, right? Because the video is about Rahu amplifying it. So we will first look at Dhan Yogas and we'll see how Rahu is amplifying it. Okay. So let's look at the other yoga first. Let's look at his 9th lord. What is his 9th lord? His 9th lord is Sun. And his Sun is in the 11th house. That is another Dhan Yoga. Now Sun is debilitated there. So we will see how it has helped him. Okay? We will try to make sense out of it. Okay? You would think, people who think that Sun debilitation is terrible, we will see how Sun debilitation can give people a lot of money, especially in your Navamsha chart. If you have Sun debilitated, it is possible that you will be very, very successful and rich if it's forming a Dhan Yoga. Okay? We also have to look at the position of Jupiter. If you see Jupiter is the Karaka of expansion. Why are we looking at Jupiter? Because Jupiter is his Lagna Lord, is very important. Where is his Lagna Lord? His Lagna Lord in 6th house. So you will say, oh, my Jupiter is in the 6th house. In the enemy sign, Venus is considered not a very good sign. Taurus is not a good sign for Jupiter. But like I said, we have to choose which direction to go, what profession to choose, right? So what is the 6th house? 6th house is the house of rogue, rin, debts, diseases, disputes, enemies, isn't it? So how come Virat Kohli is Jupiter in the sixth house and he's so successful? Well, sports is seen from the sixth house. Why? Because your competitors, your enemies are nothing but, you have to defeat the cricket team. He's into sports. So lawyers are seen from the sixth house. Doctors can be seen from the sixth house, right? Because they're dealing with medicine, they're dealing with illness all the time, right? Loan officers, bankers who are granting loans are seen from the sixth house. People into the pet care industry are seen from the sixth house because they're dealing. Sixth house is also the house of pets. Okay? So it is very important to choose the right career. Okay? So if Virat Kohli wanted to become an actor, he might have miserably failed. But he chose the career where he has to win from his enemies. So Jupiter gone to the sixth house. He has made all the money, success, defeating his enemies. And that is why Jupiter in the sixth house is giving him positive results. Also, Jupiter from there is looking at the Lagna Lord. Is looking at the second house. Jupiter also has aspects. Jupiter has aspects of 5th and 9th. So from the 6th house, Jupiter is looking at the 11th Lord Venus in the 10th house. Jupiter's 5th aspect is expansion, giving blessings of knowledge. Jupiter is the Karaka of knowledge. Sagittarius Ascendant usually are always acquiring new skills and gaining knowledge. So Jupiter is looking at the Lord of the 11th house. And Venus is also the Lord of the 6th house. So Jupiter is sitting in the sign of Venus. Interesting. Jupiter is looking at the 2nd house from the 6th house. The 9th aspect. Okay. So whenever you're analyzing your chart, which is why I have chosen slightly complicated charts to analyze your Dhan Yogas, so that you understand aspects instead of just looking at where the planet is placed and is causing a yoga or not. Okay. Now we will look at the sun debilitation and we will also look at Rahu. How is Rahu involved? So Rahu, as you all know, I have mentioned in many videos, not just me, many astrologers have said Rahu is very good in the 3rd house and Rahu's lordship is Aquarius. So both the checklists of Rahu's placement has been met here. Okay. Which is 3rd house is good for Rahu and Aquarius is also very, very good. Saturn sign, Rahu's own lordship. Aquarius lordship, Rahu is considered as the lord of Aquarius. Rahu from the 3rd house is looking at his 11th house and expanding his incoming gains. Is looking at the Sun and Mercury. 2 planets sitting there. So I'm going to add his Dasha sequence and all the people going through Rahu Mahadasha. You can see that he is still in his Rahu Mahadasha. The previous charts that we looked at, Elon Musk, Rahu Mahadasha was still playing a significant factor, is still going on, I guess. I think you all know the major events in Virat Kohli's lives. If you are all viewers from India and you follow cricket, even if you're from United Kingdom or Australia, I'm sure you know who Virat Kohli is. So feel free to give me your comments and inputs about the Dasha sequence in his life and the major events when he hit success. Okay, I'll be happy to get into a discussion. Now we will look at Ketu, something very interesting. So I'm not very sure about this, but I don't think Virat Kohli might have completed his college or might have finished his college degree and might have delayed his education because Ketu in the 9th house can cause problems with his gurus or his professors. So he could be a dropout. So let me know if I'm right about that. Also, his ninth lord of higher education is debilitated in the 11th house. Sun is debilitated. So a debilitated planet will cause some trouble for sure. So we have to see, maybe he did not, because he chose cricket and sports as his career. And if you look at his Mars in the fourth house, Mars in the fourth house is also not a very good placement. Okay. Mars in the fourth house, maybe he had some kind of a conflict because no parents, I mean, most of the parents, I don't know, when I was growing up, if I had told my mom and dad that I'm going to become a cricketer, they would have said, forget about it. Please become an engineer. Okay. So he could have had some kind of an issue at home for choosing sports as well. Okay. And now let's talk about sun debilitation. We have understood how Rahu has amplified this yoga because he's going through Rahu yoga, Rahu Mahadasha. And Rahu is very, very well placed. Best position for Rahu for his chart. And Rahu is looking at the incoming wealth as well. Okay. So sun debilitation, I'm sure when Virat Kohli was really young, he might have had some issues with his gurus because the sun is the karaka of his higher learning. And because sun is debilitated, what happens is sun debilitation for celebrities is a very good debilitation because it reduces the ego. There are cricketers who have become famous because of their skills in the first 1 or 2 years, and then because of their ego, because sun is the karaka of ego, right? Sun can give a lot of ego to a person. So sun debilitation is not a bad sign for a long-term relationship in business or even with your spouse, because ego can kill a lot of relationships. Right? So Virat Kohli would have learned from his mistake, and because of the sun debilitation, he has become a humble person and learned more, and that is how he has become successful. So the sun debilitation here could be one of the main reasons happening in the 11th house, could be a cause of his fame and success in a long-term career of cricket. For a young man, he's a very young guy. And he was successful from his early 20s till now. So we have to look at the positives of debilitated planets. Okay? Also, by the way, people who have Venus debilitated, don't worry, Venus debilitation is a very, very good sign for long-term partnership as well. Marriage. Venus debilitated partners are very dedicated partners. So if you have any debilitated planets, make sure you analyze the debilitation before feeling sad or miserable that, oh, my planets are debilitated. We have lots of celebrities and successful business people and very successful career people who have some major debilitations in their charts. Okay. But remember something, karma is very important. He was extremely hardworking. Saturn in the first house. Sometimes people become lazy and they think that, oh, I'm not getting positive. Saturn in the first house, you have to be very hardworking. He's a very hardworking cricketer is what I believe. He's one of my favorite cricketers. And I think he's a prime example of someone who has gained success through hard work. You need the support of planets. Yes, there are lots of cricketers that get an opportunity in an international platform, but they are not able to sustain a long-term career. And Virat Kohli is someone who's sustained a long-term career because of his dedication and hard work. And I'm sure he has paid respect to his gurus later on in his life, his teachers and coaches who have taught him. And I'm also sure that Virat Kohli in his early years would have had many disputes or disagreements with his teachers and coaches because of Ketu being in the 9th house, and the debilitation of the sun would have caused some problems in his early life when he was learning. But I'm sure he has overcome that, and that is why he is very successful. So this is my analysis of both the charts. I hope you enjoyed the videos. If I have missed something out, I'm happy to hear from my viewers. And I'm very active on comments, so feel free to comment on the video, and I'll be happy to interact with you. Thank you so much for your time, and talk to you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.